this video, you are going to discover the one thing that you must give up if you want to raise your vibration. Now, your vibration is a combination of how you think and how you feel, and your thoughts and your emotions create your state of being, and who you are is what attracts the people, the places, the situations, the experiences, the circumstances that are in resonance with who you are. So if there's a gap right now between who you are and who you see yourself as capable of being, the gap is going to be closed by raising your vibration and creating the life that you want. Now, this is the first time you're watching one of my videos. My name is Mo Salim, and my mission is to elevate human consciousness. Consciousness is awareness, and awareness is what you bring your attention to. Now, I've been in Bali out here for the last 30 days or so. It's a beautiful island, beautiful people, amazing culture, connected with so many amazing people. But the one thing that was really tripping me out in the beginning when I first got here is that if you've been here before, you know that the best way to get around the island is on a moped or a motorbike, okay? Now, there's a lot of crazy traffic here. It's a bunch of chaos. Seems to the untrained eye, it seems like chaos, but now I know that it's actually some organized type of chaos because everyone is somehow making it work out. But the first few weeks that I was here, I was very stressed out because I thought that I was going to get hit. I thought that I was going to have a motorcycle accident. I wasn't sure how to navigate the streets. And lo and behold, within 5 days of actually riding my bike around, stressing out about being hit the whole time, I actually did end up getting hit from behind, okay? I was sitting on the motorbike, I was taking a right turn, and luckily when I got hit, I somehow ended up on the bike where I was like landed with my butt on the bike slid on the road for like 10 meters, and I came out of that accident without a single scratch on me, okay? So maybe this has happened to you before where you thought about a situation that you were dreading and it actually ended up playing out in your life, okay? You feared something was gonna happen and then it actually happened. And the reason for this is because when our thought energy is focused on a particular situation, whether you're trying to avoid it, whether you're trying to love it so much, or whatever emotion that you're associating with it is irrelevant, but the fact that your attention is there, the fact that your energy is there, means that it is more likely to attract that situation into your life because you are resonating at that particular frequency, okay? So that situation of getting into the motorbike accident, it was a blessing for me to some extent because first of all, I came out without a scratch, and second of all, it helped me realize that I have to let go of this stress, okay? Because I was riding around on the motorbike, my heart was beating out of my chest. I could feel the cortisol and adrenaline running through my veins, and it was not doing my body any good because the fact is that when we are in that fight or flight mode, when we are stressed out, that is when a lot of our energy and our attention is directed towards the external circumstances in our environment, all right? And that is when our internal environment, our immune system, our digestive system, our endocrine system that produces all the hormones, all the energy is taken away from them towards this external stress. And although we get that temporary high of the stress hormones giving us that rush, eventually it opens up the barrier for opportunistic bacteria to come in, get us infected, for our digestive system to be kind of ruined, getting problems in our stomach, our hormones to be suppressed. When you're releasing a lot of cortisol, when you're releasing a lot of adrenaline, that is what suppresses the production of testosterone, of dopamine, of all these feel-good hormones, and you're trapped in that fight or flight mode. Now, the difference between humans and every other organism out there right now is our ability for creativity, okay? Now, this has been our biggest blessing to the point where it has allowed us to rise to the top of the food chain, but it can also be our biggest curse when we creatively imagine the situations in the past that we have negative emotions with, or we pre-experience situations in the future that we are dreading, like was my situation riding on the motorbike here in Bali, all right? So we are the only organisms that can pre-experience something that we dread and re-experience something that we are having negative emotions about. And I was reading that 70% of doctor visits today are related to stress. Now, these doctors are obviously not trained to address this address the root cause behind the stress, and what they do is suppress the symptoms of that stress with a pill. And when they do that, the feedback loop is actually torn away, whereby you can't actually address the root cause that's taking place. And because that stress is not addressed with, eventually it keeps piling on, and eventually it shows up as so many of the chronic conditions that we are seeing today. All right, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, all of these conditions have been rooted back to an imbalance in your body. All right, and stress related response which leads to inflammation in your body, and inflammation has been seen as the root cause behind all of these things. And usually it is a buildup of a lot of different stresses in our life that go on to express themselves as these different conditions that we have put these different labels on top of, but actually the root cause behind them is inflammation. So where am I going with all of this? I am telling you that if you want to raise your vibration, you have to give up this chronic stress, fight or flight that is keeping you stuck in survival. Okay, because when you're stuck in survival, you're focused on everything around you. You can't take that focus within you, and if you're focused around you, you will be living as the victim of external situations. All right, I've made another video about this, I'll link out to it. But when you are reactive to the external environment, then you are unable to get out of that survival mode. You are unable to break out of that fight or flight. You're constantly running through that thought chatter in your head to what the situation is giving you stress. And then when you're stuck in survival, you cannot go on and create the results that you want in your life. Okay, because when you're stuck in survival, you are stuck in those lower emotions of anxiety, of apathy, of guilt, of shame, of fear, to the point where you are unable to create what you want. Okay, you're living in reaction, you are not living in creation. You're living in survival, you are not able to thrive in your life. Okay, so the solution really is what I've realized in my own situation in dealing with that anxiety about the future, with dealing about that depression in the past, is to put yourself in between stimulus and response. Okay, now Viktor Frankl is the author of a book called Man's Search for Meaning, which I see as recommended and essential reading for every single human out there. But the bottom line is that he actually survived the worst of human conditions. He went through like 5 different concentration camps, including Auschwitz, and that is some of the worst stuff that anyone can ever imagine that took place in humanity. But besides that point, Viktor Frankl was actually able to reach a level of enlightenment within those worst of human conditions ever. And his main takeaway from the book for me was that when something is happening in your environment that is a stimulus, and how you respond to it is your choice. Okay, either you react to the point where you're a victim of that stimulus, or you respond according to your most empowered sense of well-being. All right, you respond according to what the best version of you would do. And between stimulus and response, there's a space, and that space is your freedom to choose how you want to show up in that situation. Okay, so when I was riding that bike around, stressing out all the time, eventually getting hit, now every time I see myself falling into that stress response, that is when I take a deep breath in through my nose, deep into my belly, and then let go and relax. All right, so they've shown this in studies that like as little as 4 deep breaths can immensely lower your blood pressure. Rather than getting hooked on all those statins and blood pressure medications, if someone was just to take 4 deep breaths and master their breath, that would be the gateway towards mastering their emotions as well. All right, so the fact is that stress is very addictive. It's something that gives us a rush of chemical emotions, that give us a rush of energy, but it also keeps us stuck in fight or flight. It keeps us stuck in survival, and we cannot maintain our focus on the important things like what we want to create in our lives. Okay, because we're trapped in that stress. We're attached to the situations in our life that is giving us stress because it gives us the rush of energy, but we are unable to create the results that we want, and we are trapped in that lower level of vibration. All right, so the main takeaway over here is to master your breath. Anytime you feel your emotions rising or feeling them drop towards those lower levels of fear, of anxiety, of depression, that is when you want to take a deep breath into your belly, hold it for a couple of seconds, and let go. And do that a couple of times, or anytime you find yourself in a stressful situation, you just take a deep breath. Then you will notice your physiology change, you will notice your thoughts change, and you will be able to respond to the situation at hand rather than reacting to it to the point where you're creating the way you want to show up rather than being a victim of what the situation is leading you to express. Okay, now this sounds very simple, but it is a practice. All right, you have to practice your breath control. You have to notice when you're letting go of your breath. Your conscious awareness on your breath is going to be the gateway for you to gain emotional control. All right, that is the main takeaway of this video. And if you practice it, it will dramatically change how you are showing up in the stressful situations in your life. You will be able to break through the next level from survival to thriving and creating the results that you want. I hope this video has been useful for you. If you liked it, click the subscribe button, click the like button, because I'm releasing new content every single day now. And I'm committed to making this happen, unlike some previous times where I said I was going to do it, but I didn't do it because I got stressed out about it. But then I just took a deep breath and everything changed for me. All right, now I say that as a bit of an exaggeration, but if you consciously practice control over your breath, I'm telling you that it would completely change your life.